Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Now sometimes there's things in life that they're irreplaceable. They're things that it's just not the same if they're not there. And that's what this video is going to be all about. I've had a look at every single Premier League team and I'm going to put forward a player who I think is irreplaceable. Do you know what else is irreplaceable? Me, in your lives. So hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Let's put a little like target on this one. For all the things in life that are irreplaceable, me, 5,000 likes. Ooh. Right, let's dive into this. Now, we're going to kick off with Arsenal, and the one thing I do need to say is that really think about that word. Actually, let's have a look at the definition. Irreplaceable. Impossible to replace if lost or damaged. Impossible to replace if lost or damaged. Okay, so keep that in mind. Might not be the best player, it's the irreplaceable one. Let's start. Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, his talent is irreplaceable. I think within the team as well, he's so crucial and so versatile in the fact that he can play anywhere along the forward line. I mean, to be honest, he can play midfield. He's played left back in the past as well. But it's more the fact that he's just got so much talent, hasn't he? And he's so young. An amazing attitude as well. And this is the kind of player that, you know, the Man Cities, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, they're desperate for that kind of guy to come through their academy. Now, Arsenal's output in terms of talent, young talent coming through is exciting. And Emil Smith-Rowe is an exciting player as well when it comes to that. Odegaard's been great for them as well. But Saka's just Saka. And the fact is that he's a player that goes to the Man Uniteds and gets taken away from them, and you don't replace him unless it costs hundreds of millions of pounds, and Arsenal don't really have hundreds of millions of pounds to pay for one player. It's a bit like Bale when he left Spurs. I mean, he's not at Bale's level yet, but he could be. Aston Villa, I'm going to go with John McGinn. The reason I'm going to say that is because Emi Martinez was very, very close to getting this one. But I think you can replace a goalkeeper. I do think you can. I know, look, there are good ones and bad ones, but I think that's a player that they could replace. John McGinn, as I say to my wife in French, is the package total when I'm talking about myself. He is, in terms of those two wider midfielders for Aston Villa, the sort of complete package that he shows in terms of creativity, the build-up play, the work rate, the defensive application. I think if you take him out the team, I think that's very, very difficult to replace. Everywhere else, even at the likes of Coutinho, you've got Buendia, the likes of Watkins, you've got Ings. You haven't got another John McGinn. Brentford, Christian Eriksen. I mean, it could be light years before they sign a player of this quality ever again. He has come in, it's been fleeting, it will be fleeting, we would all imagine. And yes, Ivan Toney's crucial for that team as well. But the quality that Eriksen has, it's a star that you're not going to see again at Brentford for a very, very long time. And thus, he is irreplaceable. Brighton and Hove Albion. People don't say their full name enough. Tariq Lamptey. Absolutely irreplaceable. If you think of the width that Brighton have, it comes from Cucurella and from Tariq Lamptey. His ball progression is absolutely amazing. And per 90, it's 9.14 in terms of progressive carries per 90. Miles more than any other Brighton player. And if you lose him, you lose someone who, within that metric, is in the 99th percentile, the top 1% in the top 5 leagues. And the only way you're going to replace that is with a player who is Champions League quality, you know, like that Alphonso Davies, Champions League winner style kind of player. That's how good Tariq Lamptey is. Burnley, this is tough because Burnley are about the collective a lot of the time. It was very close between Ben Mee and Pope. Ben Mee offers so much in terms of leadership and I guess the stability and consistency of a guy who's Premier League quality, but just obviously clearly loves the club and embodies the club. But I'm going to go with Nick Pope just because his aerial ability is so useful for this team, considering they defend deep. Pope's crosses stopped percentage is 10.3, which makes him one of the best in Europe. And for a team in the lower reaches of the Premier League, he is absolutely irreplaceable. Chelsea, I'm going for Reece James for a couple of reasons. First of all, he is world class. Second of all, he could be a world class centre midfielder. That might not be necessary, but it could be an option down the line, be it for England or for Chelsea. But more importantly right now is that right wing back who can also actually play as a right-sided centre back as well. He's got absolutely everything. The versatility is huge, but in particular in that right wing back position, he is so strong. And you see when he's not in the team how much Chelsea lose from not having him in the side. Perfect for the system right now. He allows the rest of the team to thrive, and when he's not there, they're struggling. Crystal Palace, really easy one this. Wilfried Zaha, I mean, he's been the talisman for this team. If you're a Crystal Palace fan, a lot of the time it's about getting the points that you need to survive. This year has been very different, and the new philosophy that's been brought through the club is huge. But you also need someone to kind of hold the hand of a lot of these young players. And Wilfried Zaha has not only held their hand, he's kind of led them towards, be it safety or now mid-table excitement, actually. And the fact that he's been there for so long, that loyalty is very impressive in terms of, actually, in particular, first of all, the passion on the pitch, but the professionalism on the pitch as well. He's someone that, yes, he's at times wanted that move to a bigger club, but it didn't materialise, and he's got on with it most of the time. Always consistent output, always a player they can go to, and when he doesn't play, they're just not the same. Everton, I mean, this is a tough one, let's be honest. But I'm going to go with Abdoulaye Doucouré. He's got a unique skill set, and with a midfield that lacks a lot of legs a lot of the time, or the ability to go past a player or to drive, to have someone who can kind of play as a 6, but can play as an 8, can play as a 10, can drive with the ball as well. And the fact that he's very unique in terms of that leggy body of his and his ability to get around the pitch as well. That dribbling ability in particular for this Everton side. They're a much better side with him in the team. Despite the frustration that he must often bring to them, it was slim pickings, let's be honest. But for a club that looks set to be penalised for financial discrepancies, someone like Doucouré is someone who would cost a premium to replace, and therefore he's probably the most irreplaceable player that they've got right now. DCL, a very, very close second based on the fact that he is their best player. Leeds United, again, a really tough one, and there's a few options, and this is the whole point of this video, is that you guys are going to have your opinion, so make sure you get involved in the comments down below. There are 3 clear options here. You've got Rafinha, you've got Calvin Phillips, and you've got Patrick Bamford. I think you've seen how much of a loss Calvin Phillips in the centre midfield, with the energy and the quality that he brings, has been, especially for Bielsa and that system. He might not be as irreplaceable under Jesse Marsch. Time will, of course, tell with that, but of course he is integral to Leeds United, as is Patrick Bamford, in terms of being able to sort of be a striker who can open doors with his hold-up play as well as scoring goals. But I'm going to go with Rafinha, because he wins games on his own. You saw that in the Norwich game, put it on a plate for Gelhardt, and time and again he does that, and has done that since he has come through the door at Leeds United. He is a mercurial talent, a live wire, just makes things happen for the team a lot of the time, and you're not going to be able to replace that for less than 50 million, I would say. So for me, he's the most irreplaceable. Leicester City, Jamie Vardy. Obviously, the guy is a club icon for several reasons. The output, the goals, consistently beating his XG and the chances that he has. He's very unique, actually, as a player, and Leicester City really, really struggle without him in the team. His tenacity and the fact that he's pretty much ageless, it seems like. He retains that pace so often. His finishing has got better and better. And then, of course, the story. The fact that he's come through the lower leagues, the attitude that must bring, his ability to affect other members of the playing squad. He's very, very well liked within the club and within the squad as well. And, of course, the guy's done ridiculous things. He's won the FA Cup. And that work rate that he showed in the FA Cup final is a great example. When Vardy does finally stop playing for Leicester City, his leadership from the front is going to be sorely missed. Liverpool. Now, listen, Liverpool have a lot of world-class players. Virgil van Dijk is world-class. We saw how much they missed him. Mane, world-class. Robertson, world-class. Salah, world-class. Fabinho, world-class. But there's only one name here. It has to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. He embodies the club. He's still a youngster as well, of course, but being a Liverpool lad, this is a guy that brings the romance that Liverpool fans like to bring to their football club. Add to that how integral he is to the team in terms of his assists, his quality on the ball. He's the hardest jewel in the crown. If you take him out of that Liverpool team, we've never really had to see it, to be honest, but if you had to take him out, I think it loses a lot. It loses a grit in terms of having another Liverpool lad in the team, but it loses so much quality and creativity as well. In the modern game, his humility and the fact that there is so much discussion around him because he's such an exciting player, but also he's living in an era with so many amazing right backs as well, makes it very difficult for him. And he gets a slander or a critique that actually, if there weren't the same amount of options, he just wouldn't get at all. An unbelievable player and completely irreplaceable for Liverpool. Man City, again, so many options when it comes to this, but you've also got a team that often rotates players in different positions. But one player, I think, certainly this season, has become irreplaceable due to the fact that he can play left back, he can play right back, but when he plays either of those, he dominates the game, and his output is outrageous. 60 shots so far he's taken this season, João Cancelo. He's the only Man City player averaging more than 100 touches per match, which is astounding, really, for a fullback. And when you think of that rotation, that happens time and again. And when we talk about our FPL teams, we're always a bit nervous about the Man City players because they are all replaceable, apart from Diaz, possibly, definitely, and João Cancelo. And that's why every time João Cancelo can play, now he generally does play. I think the big thing to remember with João Cancelo is that I don't think there's another player in world football that can move from left back to right back as seamlessly as this man. Manchester United. Interesting one, this. Fascinated to hear what you guys have got to say in the comments. I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandes, just because probably he doesn't get enough praise for what he does. I think at this moment it's a very sticky situation for Man United and their squad. But over the last 2 years, Bruno Fernandes has offered up the best output. When it comes to shot-creating actions, completely leads the way for Man United. If you think of the team last year and the goals that Greenwood, Martial and Rashford put forward, I think it was over 60 goals. And then, of course, Bruno offering up loads of goals as well. Those three guys all really struggled in the next season. Bruno Fernandes has still got himself 15 goal contributions. I think he'll still be a little bit disappointed with that. But he's a player that even if he's playing bad and the team's playing bad, he often turns up with a goal. Look at that Atletico Madrid game in the Champions League. An absolute stinker in the game, but still creates the assist for Elanga. I think the fascinating thing here when it comes to Man United and me choosing Bruno Fernandes is that this is a player who can get much better. Newcastle United, Alan St-Maximin, of course, absolutely irreplaceable. So exciting as a player. And again, when you're sort of bereft of joy when you're watching your team, trust me, players like Alan St-Maximin are so important. Probably the most fun player in the Premier League. Incredible character and personality in terms of how he plays and carries himself. But importantly, an incredible dribbler. Maybe Adama Traore is the only other person who's better when it comes to progressive carries. Maybe Tariq Lamptey, who we were talking about earlier. Alan St-Maximin ranks in the 98th percentile in Europe's top 5 leagues when it comes to progressive carries. I mean, that is so useful and has been so integral for a team that struggled to keep the ball and struggled to move up the pitch. Having someone of his quality to alleviate pressure at times by dribbling the ball has been absolutely huge for them in terms of them staying up. Although he is always going to be a bit of a frustrating player, I'm excited to see what he can do as the team progresses around him. Norwich City. Timo Pukki, he's the only player who's capable of scoring goals for this Norwich City side. I think in terms of career, look out for Billy Gilmore. I think he's got huge quality, but I think he's struggled within this side as well. A team that's kind of huffed and puffed but not had the quality. And ultimately, the most irreplaceable player that they had was Emi Buendia. And of course, he left in the summer. Pukki has been so devastating in the Championship. And with Norwich looking like they're going to go down again, he's going to be very important next season. And with him being a bit more of an aging player these days, then he's going to be crucial as well. And ultimately, no Norwich player scored more than 2 goals this season. And Pukki's got 8. Southampton, another easy one here. James Ward-Prowse, he is talismanic. He is the Letizia of his generation if he stays at Southampton to the end of his career, which could happen. He comes from a family of Portsmouth fans, but is turning himself into Mr. Southampton. I've got to be honest, I was surprised that he signed that long-term deal, but so dependable, and that's probably why he is a god at Southampton now. So dependable, quality output as well as a midfielder, getting every last drop of his ability out there onto the football pitch. Probably the best corner taker in the Premier League, maybe even the world. Free kicks from that left-hand side is definitely the best free kick taker in the world. I think if he was playing for another team, he would definitely be right in there when it comes to the England squad. Absolute definite for the World Cup and very close to starting for this England side if you could find the space for him. I think you can, and I think his set-piece delivery is so important that I think you need to find a space for him. He's in his prime, and he's just absolutely irreplaceable for this Southampton side. Tottenham Hotspur, this was not easy at all. Obviously, there's 2 players that you put forward here. Harry Winks, and that's a joke. Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Just about going to go for Heung-min Son. I know this is outrageous and I know Harry Kane's a legend, but hear me out. I think he has a rarer skill set. Heung-min Son. His technical ability is outrageous. His finishing ability is outrageous as well. But the fact that he can play as a second striker, as a central striker, as a left winger, as a left-sided forward as well, I don't think Harry Kane has that same kind of versatility. He's been brilliant for years now. You never have any trouble with him as well. And he signed a new contract, which, I mean, doesn't really work for this, I guess. But overall, I think that's still a reason why he is so important to Spurs. When it comes to Harry Kane, I do wonder, it is a bit more of a straight swap, and there maybe are more options for players who can do his role. Say someone like Patrick Schick, I know you're asking a lot, or Vlahovic. I know maybe that's a bit outrageous to think that you can just go and get Vlahovic. Well, obviously Spurs couldn't do it. But someone like Patrick Schick could come in and score a lot of goals for this Spurs side, but I can't think of another player who could go and play the exact same role that Heung-min Son does and does consistently for Spurs. Watford. Difficult one this, just because I'm not really sure there is one player that hugely stands out. Imran Louza has been really impressive for Watford this season, and if they go down, I think he could be very useful for them in the Championship. Emmanuel Dennis, though, I'm going to go for because he's got the most nutmegs in the top 5 leagues. Irreplaceable. Now, joking aside, Watford are still in the hunt when it comes to staying up in the Premier League, and his XG of 6.8 from wide on the left, and the fact that he scored 9 goals for the team have been crucial for Watford this year. And he's the kind of player that, if they want to stay up, he needs to score goals. And if they go down, I mean, he should tear up the Championship, let's be honest. 17 nutmegs, by the way. 17. West Ham, Declan Rice, completely irreplaceable. And like Rice itself, he's been watered at West Ham and his skill set has expanded like Rice. His qualities have really grown over the last few years. I think we thought he was going to be a centre-back. But his defensive work, his ball progression, the way he sort of barks out the orders. And when I'm watching West Ham, I'm honestly just watching him. He just looks bigger than everyone. He's trotting about but seems to cover the ground so well, and is a Champions League standard number 6 and number 8, and is one of the few players in football where it feels like he's playing 2 positions. Feels like he is playing as a 6 and an 8 because he is able to get the ball and drive with the ball. This unlocks Thomas Souček, and if you take him out of the side, they are just nowhere near of the same quality and aren't able to get around the pitch as much. I don't think there are any players in the Premier League who could do Declan Rice's role as well as he does. Maybe Kante. Wolves, this was tricky. Wanted to go with Neves, but I'm actually going to go for Raul Jimenez because he has been an absolute steal. £30 million. And if you think of how Wolves have played with Nuno, less so with Bruno Lage, but if you look at the goals and goals against, often it is low XG when it comes to both of these managers and their teams. And Raul Jimenez has had to deal with the pressure of those low XG chances and scoring goals for the team. He consistently finishes those difficult chances over the last few years, and at the age of 31 is a player that maybe you're not going to get the resale value on, so you want to get as much out of him as possible. But more importantly, to lose him, can you replace him with someone of the same quality for 30 million? I'm not sure you can. I think over the last few years, it's been quite clear that he's been probably the best striker outside of the top 6 and could still make a move to a Man United and thrive, in my opinion. To the left, to the left. To the left, to the left. So there you have it, guys. My opinion on one player who's irreplaceable for every single Premier League club. If you are new to this channel, please do me a favour. Hit the subscribe button as quickly as you can. Or take your time. Either way, just press the button. And of course, we want to get to that like total of 5,000 likes. So if you have enjoyed yourself, hit the like button as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.